well. So fast third bases are really, really common on this map. Protosses love to take them against everyone. Terran loves to take them against Zerg especially. I mean, pretty much we're just seeing a map where it's so easy to defend these locations. It's a lot more macro inclined. So what else? Imagine you're here in this bottom right area. I know it's kind of small on your screen. I'm gonna, do it a bit better next week. But you have to go out this way and all the way around here. So if you're defending your third, people like to say this third is just so easy to defend. It's just retarded. You sit your army here and it can defend your natural and your third. How does anyone attack into that? Well, what we do see is that it's actually a long route from down here to get back up here, especially when you add production here, SimCity wall-offs, that sort of thing, which most players will have. Even Zerg players defending Hellions, reactor Hellions, will wall off quite a bit. So what you see is drops are very, very powerful on this map. The main being very exposed, especially when we look at this spawn. If you've got bottom left and bottom right, for instance, the bottom left player's third is right next to the main base of the bottom right player. And this is what some people like to call retarded, and it's something which Blizzard like to put in quite a few of their maps. If there's a Terran player here, he can zone out Mutalisks just with a bunch of turrets here and drop immediately into the Zerg's base. Even if the Zerg has Spore Crawlers zoning, you know what? A siege tank sets up on the edge and shoots them down. So this is just, the perfect example of a map being shit in certain spawning positions. That's just the way it goes. That's Blizzard, if they're going to remove close positions, they need to put in something else to piss people off. It's really great marketing because it gets people to talk about the things they hate in the game. Sarcasm aside though, it is very, very irritating to play side spawn because it's very hard to make use of Mutalisks. There is no dead space behind the bases. You see there is a bit, but the map's reached the edge, so you can set up turrets and Thors along the edges so mutas can't just fly around. It's not like Terminus where you can just straight up fly around the base and they need literally 360 degrees of protection across a massively spread out base. It's actually extremely easy for a Terran player to zone out Mutalisks. Obviously I'm focusing more on ZvT here, but generally this ramp very easy to force field, this ramp very easy to force field, and cannons on the low ground and up here defending a natural and a third, very, very popular in Protoss vs Zerg. Now that being said, what about this watchtower vision? It only goes to these markers around here, these smoke markers that are on either side of the map, so you can actually sneak units around without them seeing it, especially against a mech player. That's something that's incredibly important if they manage to hold that high ground. What other aspects do we see to do with this high ground? Well, it's really just an amazing spot to hold. So the issue is, how do you get around? People say it's a macro map, you can take so many bases. But once again, looking at the kind of Terran versus Zerg map control, the way it works, is if the Terran does manage to leapfrog his way from his third to his gold, and then eventually onto this platform, he can very easily zone out these areas of the map. And as these areas get zoned out, where does a Zerg in the bottom right against a Terran in the top left take his expansions? He has to actually go just around the watchtower vision to get to defend either of these bases. So that is why it is incredibly hard late game to actually play against a meching Terran on this map. It's incredibly hard to just secure these bases, to defend them from drops, to defend them just from roving Hellions. And I guess that's all I have to say about Antigua at this exact moment. So, swapping back to me for a second. Yeah, I mean, that was pretty ad-lib just then, just whatever happens. So what now, guys? Let's hop into the replay analysis. Finally, I mean, I'm already going over time, obviously, but that's cool. This is just it. So, Stefano versus Goody. I saw this, and I was just I wasn't sure what I was going to do today's episode on. And I saw this, and I was like, you know what? Mech is becoming incredibly popular. I know a lot of players, C players like UNYJ, like Iagars, like Death, all starting to mech a lot more. So so I figured Goody, he's the master of mech, supposedly. I know he mechs every single game. Let's look at him versus Stefano. And what I'm going to do, first time around, is I'm going to look at Stefano and how he plays against Goody's mech. And then we're going to answer some questions. I'll play a quick ad while I have a drink of water. And then what we're going to do is we are going to actually we're basically going to turn it around. We're going to look at it from Goody's side. First of all, we're going to look at what Stefano could do better and what he did do that was amazing. And then we're going to turn around and look at what Goody could do better and what he actually did that was really impressive. Yeah, basically just straight up. So, we've got Stefano doing a really early drone scout, going straight cross map, verifying if his opponent is there. Sees the gas, sees the barracks gas opener. And what do we see Stefano going for? Just a standard, 16 hatch, I believe that was. May have been even a 17 hatch. Slight modification of the hatch first. And he does spot the tech lab going down on the barracks. So, alright, we've got, Stefano's here. He's just kind of like, alright, this is cool. Let's smash it up, basically. Just going to grab a drink of water really quickly. Taking a nice fast gas, so it finishes around the time the spawning pool finishes. Now, basically that's just, just nice early Zergling speed. It's quite an effective way to hold off Hellion harass, especially on this map where for the Hellions to kind of get in, they need to come well into creep. And especially against Reapers, because he did see that Reaper opening, probably just thought, hey, you're going Reapers, I'm going to get Zergling speed so I can hunt your Reapers off the map. Really nice job there, moving his Queen over and then fending the Reaper to the cliffs, the Reaper hops off, and then picking that off. What does he do? Does he send all his lings out on the map? No, he just sends one Zergling. One lone Zergling. Why does he only send one Zergling out? Because there still could be Reapers, he doesn't have Zergling speed, they could just gun down free Zerglings. And what does he do for scouting? He has the one Overlord, a very clever scouting path, going straight to this position, and then coming up here to check for the expansion. And he can see those mining mineral patches, so he knows that this expansion is operational. So what reaction do we have out of Goody? Well, he had a spine crawler, but what does he do? He takes a third base immediately. He says, you're doing a Reaper expand, the only pressure you can really do is probably Blue Flame, and surprise surprise, a lone Hellion. What does that mean? That usually means Blue Flame, because they've got the Tech Lob add-on, or the Tech Lob add-lob. The Tech Lab add-on. They have the Tech Lab add-on, so obviously they're going to build one Hellion at a time. Really obvious. But looking at little indicators like that, what defense are we actually seeing? We are actually seeing, Roach Warren. What else is he building? Getting Carapace, taking his gases. He's just droned like crazy to this point. He's got just 41 drones, 46 drones, taking this third. But you know what? Stefano is an exceptionally safe player. He likes to put on pressure. He likes to have units, so he can't just die to over-droning. Like we used to see a lot of players like Idra and Rhett often die to, months ago. So what we're seeing is, okay, you've got 3 Blue Flame Hellions. I'm just going to protect up here, because if you come up here onto creep, my Zerglings are actually good against you, even if you have Blue Flame. And he's even got a Zergling patrolling. Because what's the option with Blue Flame? They could always drop you. So you need to see that the moment it's coming. And how many roaches are we going to see built here? 6 roaches and then straight back to droning. So this way, what can he do? He can ward these Hellions off. He can get map control. Yep. Look at this. This is just absolutely typical Stefano. Getting roaches for map control. Is he going to actually attack his opponent with this? No. But he's going to get the watchtower. He's going to say, okay, but I'm going to pull back now, because there could be a drop coming in. And look at this, straight into a Banshee from Goody. And he is going to get that Queen kill. Kill a few drones as well. How does Stefano react? Just sends a Queen down. Look at his production tab, rebuilding the Queen instantly. Just calm reactions and just droning through this. Why would you drone this hard when you see there's a Banshee? Well, why not? He's gone Hellions and Banshees off a Reaper expand. You've verified there's an expansion. What pressure can your opponent actually put on you? Hellion or Banshee pressure. If you're building some spores, if you've got some queens, if you've got some roaches, you're defended against those pressures. You've got nothing to do but drone. So this is Stefano just staying calm and saying, I know what indicators there are that you can apply pressure to me. And basically it's saying that this is harass pressure. There's nothing you can send at me that can really kill me. So I'm going to keep droning. And this is why we see so many drones. Look at this, just drone trains everywhere. This is just Stefano at his best, playing spectacularly. So still, we've got more upgrades. He's actually going for roach upgrades. Why is he doing that? Because he's playing goody. He's seen Blue Flame, and he's just assumed you're going mech. You're goody, you never do anything else. There's no point getting Zerglings against a mech player who micros correctly, because the Blue Flames just eat them up. So he's going to get this map control back. But look at this Banshee coming out. And what do we see happening here for Stefano? We see this really fast 4th hatchery. And what else? A macro hatch. So a general rule I often give people is, as soon as you take your 3rd, get a macro hatch if you're playing TvZ. In this scenario, it's different. Why is it different? Because you're not building Zerglings. You're up against Goody, he's meching, you've seen Blue Flame, so you don't need the extra lava for Zerglings. Roaches are more expensive, more lava efficient. What else? You're taking this 3rd so early, you're not really getting that big an economic boost out of it immediately. You're simply using it so that once you hold off these early pressures, you can then drone it very quickly, as Stefano did as soon as he held off those Hellions and that Banshee. What else is he doing? Taking this 4th. So why take a 4th at this time? Isn't that greedy? Let's look at the units tab. 70 drones. If you've got 70 drones, you can afford to take a 4th hatchery. It costs you so very little, and if you do end up losing it, well, it's going to take a heavy commitment from your opponent, and at the very least, it then has forced them to show their army, to show their hand. It even gives you scouting information that way. So that's why hatcheries are actually so sick. Just take hatcheries everywhere. Hatcheries are like the best Zerg unit. The best Zerg scout. Now look at this. Banshee coming over. He should just react calmly. What he's doing is he's actually sending his units around its vision to try and counterattack. He says, you know what, you're building more Banshees, or the same Banshee, I think, maybe. I'm going to go counterattack. You're probably being greedy as all hell. You're probably taking this 3rd. I'm going to go kill these rocks. He should just send one or 2 queens over here, but he's just being a bit slow to react. And look at this. He sees this army, he goes to engage, but then he sees the tank splash. Look at this decision Stefano makes. He says, no, I'm not going to run away. I'm going to go for it. I've got 70 drones. I've got my 4th coming up. Maybe I'm not the best composition against this force, but I can kill some SCVs. I can pull your army back. I can do some damage. Focus down a tank up here and just run these guys around. Just be annoying. You know, just look at this. He shift commanded them to move here and then attack. Burrowed some roaches there. And look at this, more Zerglings coming in. More roaches. So, you might think, oh, that's what Stefano does. We've all seen Stefano play Pig, but, you know, I can't do that. I can't multitask that. You know what? Stefano doesn't really micro his units that well. It's the way he just keeps macroing behind it. Look at this. Injecting there and using shift to tell it to inject the next hatchery as well. Beautiful. He's actually sent his queens down here, which is why his queens are out of position, so his injects are actually going to be a bit behind. But you know what? He's got 5 hatcheries. It's not that big a deal. And he's just pumping lings and roaches. He's pumping upgrades. And you know what? If you're doing this sort of aggression, you're getting the map control simply by throwing units away as Zerg, you can afford to actually just drone up at some point behind it. So that's what Stefano's game plan always is, and it works really well against most mech players. So let's continue playing this. Look at this, Zerglings coming in. He just assumes there'll be tanks there, which is why he sent them along the edge. And they're not really going to do anything, so he burrows them. Well, at least they wasted a scan. You might think, oh, that's a loss for Stefano? Yeah, it is. He didn't get anything out of those lings. What did he get? He got map control. He bought his way into actually, you know, just seeing what's going on the map. Just pressuring his opponent. He's still on a 70 drone economy. He might be down in supply, but you know what? His opponent doesn't want to leave him be. He doesn't want to let this Zerg just take control of the game, so he's counterattacking. He's throwing some Hellions away. He's got burrow movement on his roaches now. Fantastic upgrade to have against a meching Terran. And you know, it doesn't look too good for Stefano. He did throw those units away a bit too readily. And it's actually causing problems for him now, because we are seeing, what we're actually seeing in this game is 160 Goody versus 168 Stefano. So what that means, guys, is, oh shit, the Zerg's in trouble. He's pumping roaches, he doesn't have a spire, I don't believe anyway, I'll double check. He might have built one, but he hasn't used it. Yeah, he's got a spire, just in case his opponent starts dropping to shut that down. But he hasn't used it, he's kind of upgrading his infestors. What else is he doing? He's just building roaches. You're like, okay, your opponent's got tanks, he's got Thors, he's got Hellions. This is really hard, even with roaches. You've got 2-1 upgrades, but your opponent's upgrading as well. What do you do? So let's swap into the game. Let's just see how Stefano handles this situation. So look at this. Okay, his opponent's pushing up. Stefano doesn't run away, but he doesn't just blindly commit either.